Remember that? I gave it all for fantasy. Is anybody gonna remember me? If I go tonight, I doubt the world will change. I just pray they don't forget my name.
Go to the side, man. What is up there, gangster? But like YouTube reaction video, man. Yes, I know, man. Putting these boys out, you know what I mean? Like I said, how the video. This is why koalas are the dumbest animals to breed. Now, somebody in my comment recommended this to me, and it's got over 900,000 views. So this obviously got to be something special to watch. It's about the same dude I did my last one on. Hood Nature, shout out, dude. You know, he had a whole bunch of videos. Excuse me, he got a whole bunch of videos, man. It's crazy. 7:05 buzz game. Shout out 7:30, man. I'm gonna do this for y'all. This is right for y'all. You know what I mean? And let's just get straight to it, man. Recording. Hold on. Let's get straight to it. Full screen. Let's get it. Come on now.
Instagram asked me what's the dumbest animal on the planet, and really? You really want me to slander them again? I'm so sorry, but there's really only one answer here.
I didn't even know they was done like that.
Koalas literally eat one thing.
I did hear koalas was like aggressive as fuck though.
And it's eucalyptus, but if you stripped a tree and put all the leaves on a plate in front of it, it would stare at the plate and starve to death because they can't recognize it as food. Because koalas have the recognition of a flip-flop. Koalas don't have the mental capacity to comprehend rain, so they'll just sit there getting wet and not understanding why. They don't even bother trying to cover themselves. Koalas insist on eating nothing but a mildly toxic plant that basically gives them zero energy. Which is why this bush bear has to spend 18 to 22 hours sleeping, because they literally nerf themselves with their diet. And honestly, they might as well just eat dirt. Which they do. Koalas eat dirt. The more wrinkles on the brain, the smarter you are, which is why koalas are baby ass smooth between the ears with one of the smallest brains of any mammal, because nature just didn't even try here. A koala's brain is surrounded by fluid to protect it from harsh impact. They had to evolve to survive falling out of trees because they did it so often. Someone said they have a built-in special ed crash helmet. I wouldn't go that far, but I see where he's coming from.
That's not funny though.
The weirdest type of bear you'll ever see.
Okay.
Meet the sun bear. It's the smallest bear in the world, and at about 150 pounds, you probably weigh more than he does.
First time seeing
their feet look like. If I have to see this image every time I try to sleep at night, so do you. The sun bear also has a 10-inch tongue that'll fully accept honey, and I cannot even begin to explain how this picture makes me feel. It's basically a giant squirrel because they spend more time in the trees than any other bear.
A giant squirrel.
They look like somebody in a Party City bear suit. They're very much real, and Himalayan sun bear is the most endangered bear on the planet next to pandas. They look like nature tried to redraw bears strictly from memory. Out of all the
what nature doing, man? Shit look weird as hell.
Google honey bear, the sun bear will pop up. They look like somebody told them to act natural, and this is the best they can do. Mother sun bears will birth 1 or 2 cubs that are born blind and deaf, which is why the normally shy animal will
blind and deaf.
The cubs will stay with their mothers.
You know how painful that is?
Can we please acknowledge how ridiculous these bears look? I mean, these pictures aren't edited. Because they're so shy, we don't know a whole lot about them, but we do know that their numbers are dropping due to habitat loss. And believe me, this is a face worth saving.
Hey, I seen that video before.
I actually already made a video about this, but since y'all kept tagging me, since I like hearing the sound of my own voice, here's some facts. This new DLC is a golden snub-nosed monkey found in central and southeast China. That Voldemort nose job is because they live in such a cold climate where a normal nose would get exposed to freezing temperatures. The golden nose can travel in groups of up to 600 made of several complex units. When a predator like a goshawk attacks, they'll put the babies in the center of the group while the biggest, most aggressive males go confront it. The families are so close that sometimes they'll fight over who gets to hold the baby. Females go out of their way to cheat on their partners, but it's actually for a good reason. The more males she hooks up with, the more males will think that
that ain't for the streets, man. That ain't for the streets, man. I don't want to hear it no more.
So yeah, she gets ran through like a track meet, but she does it for the children. They're endangered with about 10,000 of these monkeys scattered across China. Babies are born light brown, but they eventually turn orange after a year. Their fur changes color based on the season to match the leaves from dark brown in the summer to bright in the fall. Because they live in high altitudes in the cold, they'll hug
y'all see the shirt? Listen, one got any of those there.
Jesus lizard, and no, I'm not being sacrilegious. That's the actual name.
Not the Jesus
This
lizard.
South American lizard called a basilisk can do the dash over water to avoid predators, or I guess confuse a now God-fearing snake. A motivated basilisk can run around for about 60 feet.
NASCAR for real.
Lasts longer than the adults. This Christ lizard has tiny fringes on the bottom of its feet, and when it opens up the fringe, it increases their surface area. By pumping their feet like a bicycle, the basilisk slaps their feet hard against the surface of the water, which creates air pockets and keeps them suspended fast enough. And if a 175-pound person also wanted to pull a Jesus and walk on water, they'd have to run at a pace of 65 miles per hour while also wearing surface area increasing shoes.
That's hard.
The basilisk can only maintain this biblical act for a few seconds, but luckily it's long enough to escape a predator and more than long enough to make a snake question everything he thought he believed in. He's gonna tell his friends, and they are not gonna believe him.
I can see right through you.
I'm not even gonna pretend I was emotionally prepared for that, because I wasn't at all. I can explain. I already know that birds have hollow bones, but it's not to make them lighter or to make flying easier. process of flying requires so much oxygen that the lungs actually extend into the bones because obviously bigger lungs means more oxygen means more energy. The bird's body compensates for having large lungs by having its skeleton take up less space.
That's weird.
Exhibit A is what a toucan skeleton looks like compared to what Fruit Loops commercials want you to think they look like.
Okay.
But you wouldn't know that looking at it because it's covered by lightweight feathers, and honestly, most birds are hiding some kind of nonsense with their feathers. For example, penguins have way more neck than you ever believed. An owl, and it's the same story, different nightmare. Flamingos are interesting because those aren't its knees it's bending, those are actually its ankles. The knees are actually further up to the point where its feathers cover them.
Whoa.
Almost forgot about chickens. The lesson here
Alright,
is
now we
that
got
birds are
flamingos,
dinosaurs
so-
that nature rebranded with feathers. Toucans technically aren't see-through, it's just that their feathers take up more of their body than you realize.
That's weird, bro.
So people wanted me to explain this, so here you go. That is a bombardier beetle, and that liquid ass salt is actually a toxic chemical spray they use to defend themselves. Kind of like built-in pepper spray, but times 100.
I did hear beetles
has
has like that.
Hydroquinone and hydrogen peroxide inside the beetle. You
Got
don't
that
need
man
chemistry to
burning,
put that
folks.
on almost any op on a milk carton. This reaction is as hot as boiling water, which is what causes the beetle to release its butt acid like an Arby's junkie. And even though that spray can RIP insects, the most it'll do is mildly hurt you. But the spray tastes so bad that sometimes frogs will eat the beetles and then vomit them out. And keep in mind, frogs have to pull their stomachs out their mouths to do this, so you know it's something serious. Because nothing will mess up your appetite more than the beetle's anal dragon breath to the tongue. Speaking of dragon game, link bio, shameless plug done, video over.
That's crazy. Nah, I seen this cut like a month
Swear
ago.
Australia isn't as dangerous as people think. Like, your life isn't in constant danger just because you live there. Just that Australia has some of the most ridiculous things that you will never see anywhere
I don't know
else.
what I do,
But
'cause
one,
that's
that's
his
not a
story, now, I
Komodo
ain't
dragon,
gonna
it's
lie.
too small.
That's
And
his
2, this
stuff.
wasn't in Australia. Video was in Thailand, and that was
Yeah,
the Asian
yeah,
water
I heard
monitor lizard,
Thailand.
aka Miss Goddamn
Kipling.
Water monitors are normally shy. When it comes to people, they would rather run than run fades. When pressed, Robbie's bodyguard has a nasty bite filled with dangerous bacteria, and they're more likely to attack children and small dogs. And at nearly 7 feet long and about 160 pounds, they're the largest
Hell
lizards
no.
on the planet that aren't called Komodos. Like Komodos, they're scavengers, and they've been known to make a meal out of human corpses. Since one bite from a pissed off monitor can cut veins and sever tendons, its bite is actually worse than a rattlesnake's. Oh, and fun fact, most are venomous, and some can sprint at a speed of 25 miles per hour, which is only slightly slower than, what was his name? Oh yeah, Usain Bolt. They also have claws and a tail that they can use as a whip, which is why for a brief moment in time, 7-Eleven was the most inconvenient store on the planet. Platypus is definitely one of the weirdest things to ever leave the draft. But what if I told you there was an animal that was so out of place it legitimately confused scientists?
Let me know
There's an
something.
animal
Cool.
with bat ears, a foxtail, a monkey's body with witch hands, and the face of a drug-addicted squirrel. Meet the platypus of Madagascar, the eye. This casserole of an animal was such a freak
What
that the
the
first people to
hell?
see it classified it as a rodent because they literally thought it was a squirrel. But the
Man,
weirdest
like,
thing
comment,
about them is
subscribe
they're
if
actually
you-
related to you and
if
me
you
because they're
new to all
primates.
this shit,
And you've
too.
probably seen one without realizing it. Yep, your boy Maurice was an eye. But its acid trip of the body makes a lot of sense. when
That those would not
Making
look the
insects,
same
they
though.
hunt by
No
drumming on
bullshit.
pieces of wood and using those bat ears to find the hollow parts where the bugs are.
Hell
They use
no.
those Timmy Turners to chew through the wood. Then it scoops the bugs out with that long bony middle finger. Fun fact, according to native legend, if this rehab squirrel flips you off with that middle finger, it means you are condemned to a painful death. Of course, eyes aren't evil, they're actually painfully
What
shy introverts that sleep all
the
day.
fuck?
Yeah, nice. So look at that, you might
This
have
is
something in
just
common
all
with
new
those
information,
people.
man.
It's also unbearably adorable while looking like a gremlin, and no other animal confuses me on such an emotional level. Have you ever wondered what animals do to relax or have fun? Well, you don't need to. because
I guess fight. I don't
crocodiles
know.
have been known to take turns giving each other piggyback rides, and since there's no practical reason for this, we have to assume they're doing it just for the fun of it.
Right.
And normally, it's male crocodiles piggybacking a smaller female. Crocodiles will also pick flowers and carry them around, and apparently they really like the color pink. Otters go sledding.
Never
River
knew that.
otters in Yellowstone will find a steep, icy hill, get a running start, and then slide all the way down for no purpose other
Nah,
than
that
having a
sound
good
lit,
time.
though. No
Otters
bull.
basically treat this winter wonderland like an iced-out water park, and like any respectable water park,
Shit, I wanna
all the
go out
slides seem to
and
lead to water.
something like that.
Hippos
Really.
chill by wallowing into shallow water, and then the fish feed on their parasites, loose skin, and fungal growths. Basically, this giant hippo takes a spa day and even opens its mouth so the fish can clean its teeth. These sessions are so relaxing that sometimes the hippos will fall asleep in the middle of it, and honestly, I don't blame him. Good hippos
I don't
in
blame 'em.
self-care. If hippos had thumbs, they would definitely download this self-care app because it helps you keep your
That's
mental
another
health
plug-in. He ain't
small
that's
positive
another
habits
plug-in,
to actually
dog,
get
yeah.
routine. Or you could just book a spa appointment with a hippo, but I can't promise you that'll be good for your animals that are way smarter than you think, to the point where it might actually be a problem. One day crows are going to turn on us and it's going to be bad. Crows have the intelligence of a 7-year-old, meaning this bird is smart enough to solve problems, make tools, and occasionally mess with people. Crows will purposely drop walnuts on crosswalks for a car to run over and then wait for the light to turn red to retrieve the smashed nut. They'll also take aim and poop on you if they feel territorial, if they want your food, or if they just feel like being a dick. Not only can crows remember your face for 5 years, but they can communicate their beef to other crows, meaning you could really get a whole flock on your head.
Wow.
And teach their future children about you. So a crow could really violate you for something you did to his granddaddy. I was going to talk about other animals, but this just became a crow video. Crows are one of the few animals that are smart enough to have self-control because in an experiment, crows were willing to deny a piece of food if it meant they got a bigger reward for it. Basically, scientists would put a treat in front of the crow, and the crow wouldn't eat it if it knew that it would get a better treat if it controlled itself. That's something human children struggle with. If a crow dies, the other crows will investigate the area where it happened to see if there's a danger they need to avoid. Moral of this video, crows are scary smart. The day they choose violence, we're all going to get hitchcocked with no lose. More dangerous, a rhinoceros or a hippo. Rhinos are the second largest land mammal on the planet at 5,000 pounds, with its main weapon being a blunt horn that can grow up to 55 inches long. They also have really thick skin and can charge at 34 miles per hour. Fast enough to go bowling with hyenas, and mean enough to humble a whole car. Hippos are the third largest with teeth that can grow up to 1.5 feet. And before you try to body shame them at 30 miles per hour, they're faster than Usain Bolt, and they're also able to solo squat entire prides of lions. Rhinos aren't super aggressive. The problem is they have terrible eyesight and they can't see anything that's farther than 100 feet from them.
Damn.
If they just barely make out movements, this bipolar unicorn will attack whether you're a lion or
they blind for real.
In the name of equality. Hippos don't need a reason to choose violence. They'll do it anyway. Hippo temper tantrums cause 500 obituaries a year. They've also been known to murder other animals for no reason at all.
I told you, hippo,
they
just look aggressive.
Fade on land or in water. In fact, they're actually at their most homicidal when they catch you in their watering hole. Rhinos are bigger and tankier, but at least when they turn up, they do it in self-defense. Hippos catch bodies because that's just who they are, which is why they're the most dangerous. These are normal things you do that would be completely different if you were an animal. Right. Coughing in front of a kangaroo might just save your life, because coughing is how weaker beta males admit inferiority to alpha males, and it's how kangaroos avoid unnecessary fights. So if a roid roo ever presses you, coughing like an anti-masker might just keep you on the senses. Smiling with teeth might seem innocent to us, but it's basically an FU to primates like chimpanzees and gorillas who see it as an act of intimidation or a threat. One woman had a habit of smiling at the gorillas at the Berlin Zoo, even though zookeepers specifically told her not to. She insisted she had a
people
special
just don't listen. I don't know why people just don't want to listen.
Yeah. One day, 400-pound Paquito got tired of her nonsense, jumped out of his enclosure, and proceeded to beat 50 Shades of Black and Blue onto the woman. The gorilla then broke into a restaurant while the mauled woman laid there and realized that not even gorillas mess with Karens. If you're a human, yawning might mean that you're ready to go to sleep. If a hippo yawns, it's ready to put you to sleep indefinitely, since this is a territorial gesture to warn you not to come any closer if you value breathing. And with a 2,000-pound bite force, its overbite can divide a crocodile and violate a lion's mouth. What you need to remember is a yawning hippo is intolerant but tired of your shit. There are normal things you do that would mean something very different if you were an animal. We laugh when something's funny, and it's typically associated with positive emotions.
Of course.
But a hyena laughing is associated with violence and homicide. Hyenas produce a giggling sound in response to conflict, stress, and fear. And the best example of this is when they're confronting a lion. They also laugh while fighting over food. So if you ever hear that giggle, don't worry about what shoes to wear in your casket. It's going to be closed. People roll their eyes in annoyance, frustration, and during a third thing that guidelines won't let me talk about, but it's normally harmless. But if a great white rolls its eyes at you, it's going to be the last thing you ever see. Most sharks have a protective eyelid that shields the eye when attacking prey, but since great whites don't have this membrane, they just roll their eyes back into their sockets before they catch a mean body. So if a shark ever looks like it needs the exorcist, it means the lease on your body is up and your soul's about to get evicted. Hugs are good, you can't live without them. This isn't a hug, it's an invitation to see your ancestors. Anteaters do this to scare off predators, but if it doesn't work, they start swinging with claws that are sharp enough to cut arteries and make it. Don't hug an anteater or you'll be hugging the heaven gates.
That's it. Let me hey man, he feeding us
fear of birds, like
listen, he feeding us all type of information. I like this guy, man. I do. I'm gonna try to find one TikTok too. But man, if you like that video, man, if you even like found out something new like me today, but I ain't know that them crows are very smart. You know what I mean? Like I said before, if you like this video, man, if you like this video, anything, like, comment, subscribe. Give me 300K, man. I see you out and about. Yeah.